go. Hello and good evening to week 20 of our Can You Fix Nigeria Challenge. This is our wrap-up session, and this series, like you are well aware, has been going on for about 20 weeks. I wanted to take firstly, before we go into tonight's wrap-up session, where we're going to be looking at the top 20 lessons that we've taken over the course of this series, I wanted to take the time out to just say thank you to all my guests over this last 20 weeks, people from everyday life who have taken time out of their busy schedules to be with us for these discussion panels. I want to firstly thank Dr. Dapo Adegbaju, Mr. Elliot Fumole, Mr. Ikus Masa, Mr. Victor Rigi Koko, and Mr. Adeola Adeyanju. I want to thank Dr. Yakubu Bonono, Mrs. Adeola Sumola, Dr. Lutoyin Oyelade. I want to thank Mr. Lanre Akimbo of Wiser Consulting. I want to thank Mr. Akintayo Bamishai, Mr. Muyiwa Odunlade, Mr. Bolaji Do. I want to thank also many others who have supported us from Colbit, Nigeria, Mr. Eyo Yume, Mr. Tosin Lawa. Also want to say thank you to Mr. Ike Ikponwo Saugunwoyi and Mr. Niyi Shote, who have all been contributors and supporters over the course of this. Finally, I want to say thank you to all our listeners and all the people who have sent us questions, people who are genuinely concerned about the well-being of our country. Thank you. Keep the discussion going. Let's make this country better. I'm sure we can. So tonight, like I mentioned, I should not fail to mention Mr. Femi Olaiya as well, who was one of our panelists as well. Thank you, Mr. Femi, and all the other guys who I might have failed to mention, but thank you so much for your time. So I think what we should do tonight is I like to pace myself, and I would like to share with you the top 20 lessons which I took from this series. I've called it the wrap-up session or the feedback. So what we will do first then is to try and go through all the sectors that we looked at in the course of doing this series. So in the course of the last 20 weeks, we looked at the Nigerian health sector, the power sector, the civil service reforms, security and policing, judiciary, sports, agriculture, transport, education, the PIB law, ease of doing business in Nigeria, the Oronsoye report, and so many other factors or sectors which affect our day-to-day lives. Overall, these are the top 20 lessons that I've taken. Number one lesson, the most urgent and the most critical issue that is facing Nigeria today is the issue of security. Let no one confuse us about that. With this ongoing insecurity, it is unlikely that if it is not addressed, we will have a country. We need to understand that. We cannot address education, healthcare, 2023 elections and all of that without resolving this issue of insecurity. So lesson number one, the most critical issue facing us is insecurity. Now, that insecurity is driven by many factors. Chief among them is unemployment. Number two, drug abuse. There's a lot of drug abuse. There's absence of government and policing authorities in many of our remote areas, particularly in the Northeast. There's no government presence. And the bandits are just left to roam the place and just have a free reign. Another problem that we're having is this problem of the Libya crisis, the fallout of the Libya crisis, which is bringing a lot of arms down south, down the Sahel. So there are so many things, and this insecurity thing is multifaceted, and it needs to be addressed. Now, this is not the time to be partisan. It's not the time to say you're APC or PDP, or when Buhari was there, it was better, when Jonathan was there. No, this is not the time for that. What we need to do is to sit down, get a think tank, and see how we are going to deal with this issue. Because if we don't deal with this issue will be the end of Nigeria as we know it. So that's lesson number one that I've taken from the series. Lesson number two. Lesson number two is that the key to resolving the fundamental issue, the fundamental key to resolving this issue is job creation. We need to give a lot of people livelihood. There are way too many people who are just roaming. Don't think security issue is a problem of the North. It's not. There's a security, insecurity problem and kidnapping and all of that in the North. But the level of occultism, which is in the South, is unbelievable. In Calabar, in Lagos, the level of occultism, all our youths who are graduating without jobs are joining one cult or the other in the South. There's so much drug abuse and rape and all of these things because these children don't have work to do. Now, for us to be able to fix that, we need to be able to have a strategy of how we're going to do it. We need to be able to create jobs in large numbers. And by large numbers, I mean create millions of jobs. Millions. We need to be able to do something like we had under the Babangida era, what we call the National Directorate of Employment, and we are getting 10,000, tens of thousands of people off the streets so that they can go and work on farms, they can go and work on construction sites. We need to build large projects that can suck up these kids, these children out of school. And as we do that, what will happen is that we will give them money. It's not going to be a lot of money. We will give them money, but we will also give them life skills. Some of these children have not worked one day. I'm sorry to call them children. They're not children, maybe. I'm talking 20, 21, 22, 26, up to 26-year-old guys who have graduated, but they have never done anything. There are people who have graduated for 5 years and they have been sitting at home. They haven't done anything. So we need to be able to get all of these people out of the streets and get them into work, get them into farming, get them into agriculture, get them into business. Let them understand that there's something different that can be done. There must be a different way of working, a different way of life. So job creation, and that will help us to remove the insecurity, the occultism, the banditry that we are seeing. We need to get these children off the road, off the home. Lesson number 3. Without improvement in the ease of doing business, we will never get our private sector, our SME, to join the job creation and the national development that we need. Let me make this very clear. Yes, we need government to help us a lot in job creation. But what government will fundamentally do with job creation is that they will make policies. It's people like us who we end up creating the job. It's the middle class, it's the 40 to 55-year-old guys who will set up new businesses and they will help these people to get new jobs. But this middle class, these 40 to 55-year-olds who need to create SMEs and create new businesses to employ the youth, they will not be able to do it if the ease of business is not challenged, if the ease of doing business in Nigeria remains what it is today. I remember when Vice President Yemi Osinbajo was acting as president, his executive order number 1 was on ease of doing business. We need to understand that the ease of doing business will be done at a local level. It's not going to be a national thing because businesses are created at the local level. It's at the local level they're asking us for radio license. It's at the local level that they're asking us for advertisement. It's at the local level that they're asking us for tenement rates. So the ease of doing business must be done at the local level rather than at the national level. It's a good thing that the president, the vice president, they're trying to work this thing at national, but we need to get the people at the local and the state to have buy-in. Because only then will this change. Let me tell you one thing. One great failure of our generation, and I keep saying this to everybody, is that we have created nothing. The generation before us created GTB, they created Zenith Bank, they created Telnet, they created Accenture, KPMG, Arthur Andersen. All of these things were created by the generation that has just gone before us. They created Resourcery, Telnet. All of us went to work in these organizations, but our generation is not creating anything. We are buying houses in Lekki and in Abuja. This is all that we're doing. So we need to go out and create. But for us to create, government needs to help us with the ease of doing business. No longer should we be having a situation where people are paying 20, 30 different taxes. All these taxes should be made into one and let us know that this is what we are paying. And this is what we're using that money for. It is important. So please, lesson number 3, Without the ease of doing business, there will be no SME, no national growth, and ease of doing business will be resolved at the local level. Lesson number 4. We, the citizens of Nigeria, need a change in mindset. Let me repeat that. Lesson number 4, the citizens of Nigeria need a change in mindset. Why? Too many Nigerians want Nigeria to fail, either by praying for Nigeria to fail or by acting in a way that will make Nigeria fail. We need to rediscover our sense of patriotism and civic responsibility. Both the leadership and those of us who are followers need to learn that we must make sacrifices for Nigeria again. So we need to change our mindset. Let's be honest with ourselves. There's no organization. If it's a mosque, it's a church, it's whatever it is an hospital, any organization where 40% of the people who work in that organization want the organization to fail, will fail irrespective of what the leader does. And today, there are too many Nigerians who, by their actions, by their words, want this country to fail. That needs to change. If it does not change, it will not matter what the guy or what the gentleman at the top does. So please, we need a change of mindset. Lesson number 4. Lesson number 5. Lesson number 5, we want to thank government for all the investment that they have started making in the power sector. Let me repeat that. The government of Nigeria is trying to do something in the power sector, and they are putting so much money. Maybe 6 billion in the Mambila, between the Mambila Plateau, between the Mambila Power Project and the Siemens job, about $6 billion is being put there. But what the government of Nigeria needs to do is that they need to create a legal framework that will make power sector work. It's not to throw money at it. Legal framework is what we did with GSM. When they started making GSM in Nigeria, we were paying 15,000, 20,000 to buy SIM card, not to buy recharge card, to buy SIM card. But today, that SIM card is free. Everybody is using GSM. There's nobody anywhere you go in Nigeria now that anybody is complaining about not having telephone. Why? Because government put in the framework and we allowed private investors to come in. They invested, they charged whatever they wanted, but as the competition increased, those rates came down. This is what we need to do in the power sector. Government does not have enough money. We should not be throwing the little that we have now at power sector. We should allow private companies to go and run power in Nigeria, charge us what is necessary, and reduce the prices by competition. Whether we like it or not, in all those estates in Abuja or in Lagos, in Kaduna, people are already paying 70 naira per kilowatt hour so that they can get 24-hour power. They are paying it and they are getting the power. So this is, it's expensive, yes, but it will come down ultimately. And no matter how expensive it is, it will be cheaper than us running petrol or diesel generator 24/7, or running diesel power, or running solar power. So please, let us open up our mind. Our government needs to open up their mind that it's not throwing money to power sector anymore. What we need is a legal framework of how the power sector in Nigeria will work. That is lesson number 5. Lesson number 6. Lesson number 6 is on restructuring. Anywhere you go in Nigeria today, all the discussion is about restructuring. Federal government should devolve more power to the state. But what I learned listening to our panelists over the last 20 weeks tells me that actually what we need is not more devolution of power to the states, it's more devolution of power to the local governments and to city levels. Large cities like Kano, Kaduna, Ibadan, Enugu, Onitsha, Port Harcourt should have mayors. Mayors. If you go to London, you go to New York, you go to Paris, there are mayors in those cities. Those are the people live at the city level, not at the national level. It's at the city level, and power needs to be devolved to that level so that people who are mayors can help us with how our life should be. Who is picking our dustbin? Who is giving us water? How are we getting electricity? All of those things should be done at a city level. They are not national issues. In addition to that, on the restructuring, a second lesson that we need to take is that we've been talking about the 6 geopolitical zones since the time of Babangida. It is now time that we actually stop talking and do what is necessary. Yeah, each of our geopolitical zones we should install a premier in each of those geopolitical zones so that they can coordinate the development in each zone. Can you imagine if you had a premier for the Southwest, Lagos, or Ogun, Ondo, Osun? Then somebody can coordinate all the development in that place together. The same will happen in the Northwest. The same will happen in the Southeast. The same will happen in the South-South. The same will happen in the North Central and in the Northeast. People can coordinate their own development at their own pace. Then the benefit of that is that we can also make whoever is premier, one of them will be promoting that person and making him president of Nigeria as well. And then rotating that within the geopolitical zone. There's no justification for us to continue to spend so much money on elections in Nigeria. Like they said, the last election that we did officially cost Nigeria, the last presidential election cost us $650 million US. Nigeria does not have that kind of money, $650 million to be doing election. After that, we will all say that election was rigged. So please, we should not be spending $650 million to do something that we are not going to accept. We need to now learn that rather than electing presidents, we should be selecting a president from the geopolitical zones. Other countries are doing it. Nobody votes for president in Canada. The president is elected. Nobody votes for president in Israel. The president is elected, is just selected. So it can be done. We will devolve the power to the regions, to the states, to the local government, and select whoever is president from one of the regions. This is the way that we need to go in today's world. That's lesson number 6. Enough said on restructuring. Lesson number 7. Lesson number 7 is on infrastructural development. Infrastructural development in Nigeria needs to be done at a strategic level. I want to thank the government of Nigeria for what they have done. You can see them now at Abuja. They're doing a lot of work on rail. Whether we like it or not, it's a lot of work. And what's even better, the Lagos-Ibadan rail, which they have not finished, they have now connected it to the Apapa port. That is strategic thinking. The Abuja rail has been connected to the Abuja airport. This is what we should be doing everywhere. We should be connecting our roads, our rail, our ports, and our airports together. They should all be linked. They should all be linked. The logistics of Nigeria should be linked. Things should be done at a strategic level. It's not enough for somebody to just go and build one airport somewhere in the middle of nowhere. Do you know how many airports are in Nigeria which are not viable? There's an airport in Minna. There's an airport in Ilorin. There's an airport in Ibadan. There's an airport in Akure. I mean, there are airports everywhere doing nothing. Doing nothing. So please, strategic linkage of all our ports, airports, rails, and roads so that we can have benefit. The Apapa linkage of the railroad now, we can already see the benefit of that. Now, cargo is already coming out of Apapa and is going straight to the north. It's the first time we're doing that in a long time. And that's what we need to be doing. There are 2 other projects that Nigeria needs to look at. President Buhari said 2 things when he came to government, and I'm still waiting for them to do this. I'm hopeful they will do it before they go. They are talking about dredging the Niger. Dredging the Niger will give us the opportunity to have an inland port at Onitsha, to have an inland port at Benue or Makurdi, where we can bring all the goods that we're producing in Aba and Onitsha to the market. It will bring all the food that we have in Plateau, in Benue, in Nasarawa, it will bring them to the markets. That's what we should be doing strategically as a country. The second project that he mentioned is the Lagos-Calabar Rail. It's unbelievable how Nigeria has gone on for so long without a rail connection between East and Western Nigeria. It's unbelievable. But President Buhari has gone out to say that he's going to do this work. Please, President Buhari, get it started. Get it started. Posterity will remember you for getting that work started. Your team with Amechi have done a lot of work on the rail. Let's do this one as well. Begin the Lagos Calabar Road, rail line. It is important to link this country together at a strategic level. So again, lesson number 7, it's important that all our infrastructure development is done at a strategic level. Lesson number 8. Lesson number 8 is about the need to re-educate Nigerians and increase literacy level. See, recently I was talking to one of our senior friends, our more senior friends, and what he said to me, I said, boss, how can you change Nigeria? What will you do if you were president? How will you change Nigeria? Without missing a beat, he told me the number one thing that we need to do is we need to re-educate our young people. From age 5, we need to start teaching them from school. There's a lot of people who are getting literacy in Nigeria, numeracy skills, but they are not developing character. That is why all our universities are full of cults. Half of the children are taking drugs and things like this. And this trend, in Nigeria today, people don't even think that it's wrong to cheat in exams. That is the kind of society that we are building. So when we send children to school, please keep in mind, we're not sending them only for literacy and numeracy skills, we're sending them there to also build character. There has to be an opportunity for Nigeria, the Ministry of Education, to establish an inspectorate which will check the standards of schools, the standards in our schools. The UK has something they call Ofsted. The Ofsted will tell us whether a school is good, is bad, is average, is excellent. And then they will say, okay, all the ones which are poor or average, we need to continue to develop those ones. What the ministry should be doing is not just to be giving license and everybody creating private school here and there. Rather than creating more schools, Nigeria should be improving the quality of the ones that we have. So lesson number 1 on education, inspectorate to improve the standard of school. Lesson number 2, we need to be able to offer free and compulsory education to all children up to junior secondary school level. Because whatever you have learned at junior secondary will take you through life. The rest of it is just if you want to become a professional. But at least all children should be given free and compulsory. Free and compulsory. The southwest of Nigeria can tell you what free education did for them. Yeah, so free and compulsory education up to junior secondary school. At the tertiary level, however, at the university level, people must learn that they must pay for school. In the US, in the UK, where people have money, they pay for university. If you go and do an MBA in Harvard today or in Wharton, you will pay $150,000. Nigerians are paying school fees in Ghana in hard currency, but they will not pay in our own universities. So please, again, I want to appeal to people. We need to understand that the days of having free education in university is gone. And there's no country in the world that can afford to continue to send 2 million people to university or 1 million people to university every year and give it to them free of charge. So please, lesson number 8, re-educate our people, increase our numeracy skills, improve character, bring inspectorates to school, give us free and compulsory education up to junior secondary level. We must consider to pay money or school fees at the tertiary level. Lesson number 9. Lesson number 9, we need to rejig our towns and rethink how we are doing housing in Nigeria. There are too many of our cities which are completely unplanned. Too many cities are unplanned. There are too many slums. If you're in Lagos, if you're in Kano, if you're in Kaduna, you're in Abuja, there are slums everywhere. Our cities are not planned. And we need to find out a way that we can get our city more organized. And there are a few ways that we can do that. Number 1, government can introduce the concept of new towns. A new town will come, government will set up a new town. It doesn't have to be a big town. It could be a town of 5,000 houses with centralized heating, centralized sewage system, water, electricity. Then any other city that wants to develop can go and look at that new town as the model so that we can begin to build standards into our lives. Somebody needs to show us an example of what a town should look like. Now, I know that they're doing that in Eco Atlantic or in Jubilee City, but those ones are too expensive for people, average day-to-day people like you and I. But what we should be able to do is that we should be able to demonstrate what a housing estate should look like and how people should live there. Okay? Secondly, the Nigerian National Housing Fund is not helping us. National Housing Fund is giving out loans, but those loans are not enough to build houses. Rather than giving out inadequate loans, what National Housing Fund should be doing is to invest that in building estates. All over this country, National Housing Fund should be building estates and giving people 30-year mortgage to pay it off. Pay it off. You will give people standards, they will understand the standard. You will give it only to civil servants or people who have control over their money. And then we can track how they are paying that money back month by month. But what that does for us is that it introduces a standard of living for everybody. So again, new towns, housing, we need to rethink it and understand that this needs to be done in an organized manner rather than a haphazard system that we see in many of our cities today. Lesson number 10. Lesson number 10 is that we need to diversify from oil. 15 years ago, maybe in Africa, only Nigeria, Congo, and Angola and Gabon sold petroleum products in sub-Saharan Africa. Nigeria, Angola, Congo, Gabon. These days, no. Everybody has oil. Ghana has oil, Cote d'Ivoire has oil, Senegal has oil, Mozambique has oil, Chad has oil, Cameroon has a oil pipeline. Everybody has oil now. So gone are the days that Nigeria think that we are the beautiful bride and everybody will come and buy our oil. US that used to buy most of the oil is no longer buying oil. They are exporting oil now. They have so much from fracking that they are also exporting themselves. So gone are the days that we say, oh, we are selling our Bonny Light or Kwaibo Light to US. No, those days are gone. The US is exporting oil. The industry, the oil and gas industry itself is on a decline. So we need to rethink how we're getting money because whether we like it or not, over 90% of our foreign exchange, over 80% of our revenue comes from this oil. That's why we need to start thinking of something different. Thank God that we were smart enough to build the LNG in Bonny, and we built a GTL plant in Escravos. Dangote is building a refinery where we can export a lot of things from in Lekki. Bua is also building another refinery in Kwaibo, in Akwa Ibom State. So there's a lot of work that is going on. We have the aluminum smelting plant in Kotabasi. There's so much that this country can still export. We should take our focus off this oil and look at other things. We should take our eye off oil. We should go back to all the paper mills that we used to have, Jeba paper mill, Iwokun paper mill, all these things. We can do it. We can do sugar. So please, somebody needs to think and sit down and begin to actively see how we can diversify our economy away from this oil, which we have pursued for such a long time. Oil has tried for Nigeria. Now it is time for Nigeria to try for oil. Okay, so that's lesson number 10, diversification from oil and gas. The next 4 items I'm going to talk about are about financial reforms. Now, many people have said that Nigeria cannot make progress with the kind of lending rates that we have. You want to go and borrow money in the bank, they say bring 29%. That's true. There's no business that you're going to do and you're going to make profit of over 29% so that you can pay the bank back. No, it will not happen. But the question is, why do those banks ask for such a high rate? One of the central reasons why they have such a high rate is because the minimum loan deposit ratios between themselves and the CBN is too high. If CBN is asking them to keep 60% of any loans that they give back as deposit in CBN, Now, I mean, that's inefficiency at its highest. It means that for every 1 million that they loan to somebody, they are keeping 600,000 in CBN, which is not doing anything. That money is just sitting there. And because of that, the interest rate itself are high. So we need to look into this, and somebody needs to change that policy. We must aggressively be thinking of how we can bring lending rates in Nigeria to less than 10%. It must be a government policy. Government policy that less than 10%, we must make lending rate in Nigeria less than 10%. We need to work actively on this. Without working on it, no SME will rise up in Nigeria because there's no business that they can do that they can get more than that they will be getting the 29%, which we're having today. Another policy that our bank and the central bank needs to look at is that central bank needs to withdraw all the large notes to lessen the corruption, to lessen the banditry, to lessen the kidnapping that is going on in Nigeria. We must take away our 1,000 note, 500 notes, and stick to the 200. Reason? Anyway, the only reason that we had these big notes before was to ease transactions so that we can move things around. However, things are becoming better because we now have internet. So with this internet, we can do bank transfer. We don't need to move money around as much anymore. Therefore, we should withdraw this 1,500 so that, and with that, we can lessen the corruption that is going on in this country. We can put more money into the official circulation such that it's easier to track how money is going in and out of this country. Lesson number 12. The devaluation of Naira is ruining our lives. Every day they devalue the Naira, it is ruining Nigerian lives. When past President Abacha was living in 1998, officially Naira was 22 Naira to $1. 1998. As recently as 2014, which was only 6 or 7 years ago, Naira was 150 Naira to $1. Today, it's 485 in the unofficial market. So in 6 years, Naira is devalued 300%, 300+%. That's how bad things are. So we need to stop this devaluation. And the only way we can stop devaluation of the Naira is that we need to reduce our imports to a minimum. Let me repeat that. We need to reduce our imports to a minimum. Somebody in CBN needs to do an analysis and say, what are we spending the most money on imports for an import? Thank God somebody thought about this rice problem a few years back. And we're already doing something about rice. Okay, good. But let's start doing something about 5, 6 different areas. How much money we're sending to pay school fees abroad? How much health tourism that people are going every time we are going to India to go and do surgery? They are paying hard currency there. We're sending children to Ghana. We're sending children to the UK to pay school fees. We're spending our currency. We need to find a way to reduce it out of the country. It is unbelievable that with a country that has PAN, we have STER, we have Anamco, we have Volkswagen, assembly plants all over the place. They are all dead, I know, but we're still importing car. We can turn those plants back on and stop importing car in this country. When we stop importing car, we will stop importing battery because we will resurrect the Exide battery factory, which is in Ibadan. We will bring back ISO glass and Oluwa glass so that it can provide us windshields. We will bring back the leather companies, which are doing us car seats. This is how you reduce your import and therefore change our lives. Somebody also said, do you know how much money we used to import apple? When did we start eating apple? We should stick to our orange and mango. There's a bit of discipline that this country needs. And we need to find a way to put an end to this import culture. This import culture, we're importing fish in a country that is full of rivers. We're importing chicken and importing pencil and toothpick. We have 3 large paper mills, but we're importing prints. So somebody needs to find a way to limit these imports so that we are not devaluing our currency. And as we stop devaluing our currencies, our life will become better because our currency will have better value. Number 13, Now, up to now, the way that Nigeria has run this economy is that we have always focused on foreign direct investment. We want to bring in foreign money to help our economy. Please let me give you some news. There's nobody who's going to give us money. The US or Britain have not been giving us money for a long time. This is why we're always borrowing from China. And China is a bad master. Let's be honest. So they're not going to continue to give us this money. Rather than focusing on always getting foreign investment, we should think about getting money from people who have it here in-house. There are so many people who have money and it's sitting in banks. It's just sitting in banks. I remember when that wonderful woman, Kemi Adeosun, was Minister of Finance in Nigeria. She did an analysis that showed us that we had over 6,000 people or so who had over $1 billion in their bank account. Billion sitting in account. They're not doing anything. We should encourage, we should be going to those people and begging them, please invest that money in this country. Invest it. Use that money to turn around the economy. We will give you tax-free for now, at least. Help us get our young people back to work. Stop this importation. Stop this devaluation of our naira. If these people who have 1 billion and above in their bank account, if they invested it in this country will be different. Thank God for Dangote. Thank God for how much work Dangote is doing in Nigeria now. Whether you like him or you don't like him, it's not, I don't know. But the bottom line is that what Nigeria needs is that we need at least 10 Dangotes. We need at least 10 of them, one in every region, creating something. We need a Dangote equivalent in the Southwest. There should be somebody in Osogbo or in Akure or in Ekiti who is spending billions to turn that place around. The market is there. Our brothers from the East used to have a lot of money. So I'm waiting for the likes of Ibeto, Otto Eze, and all these people to stand up and spend their billions and change the East. There should be people in Dimi and all the people in the Northeast. They should be spending these billions. These billions should not be sitting in the account. They should help us and put this money to work. Let us see that money working. So we should be begging we should be encouraging our billionaires to create regional businesses that can change lives of this country. It's the way to do it. It's what they have done in Korea. It's what they have done in China. It's what all the Asian tigers did. Malaysia. Each of those countries have 20, 30, 40 billionaires everywhere. One person dealing with airlines, one person dealing with sugar, one person dealing with salt, one person dealing with cement. This is it. You identify all the billionaires, you give them one line of business, and you give them the right to go and invest in the country and help them. And as they go up and they become bigger, they will take thousands of people with them on the journey. This is the way to change a country. Lesson number 14. We should be aware of the risk of overregulation. If you run a business in Lagos today, you will be paying taxes in 5, 6, 7, 8 places. I once heard somebody who said to me that every time he imports in Nigeria, he pays more than 10 different taxes. Tenement rate people will come today. Local government people will come tomorrow. State government people will come the day after. Federal FIRS will come. Advertisement people will come. There's no end to it. There's a risk of overregulation, and we can see it with the PIB, the new PIB law. You are already charging somebody 85% PPT, petroleum profit tax. Now you said to him you are introducing a national hydrocarbon tax and corporate tax on top of it. For people who don't have money already, they are only going to keep their money in their country. That's it. So we need to be aware of the risk of overregulation. The businesses are already struggling. The businesses are struggling. We should be easing the ways of doing business, reducing our banking rates so that there's no incentive for people to keep money in the bank, encouraging the people who have money in the bank to go and put it into the formal sector so that we can change this country around. Lesson number 14 is be aware of the risk of overregulation. Lesson number 15, civil service reforms. I want to thank Mr. Stephen Orosoye and everybody who worked on his panel. Nigeria is not an easy country to do work for. It was a good job that you did with the Orosoye report. It was a good job that you did. Nigeria may not have given you thank you for that. It was a good job. One day somebody will pick that up and they will try and run with it. Some of the things you said in that report are very true. Nigeria needs to rationalize and optimize the MDAs. There's no reason for us to have EFCC, ICC, and Code of Conduct. They're all doing the same thing. We should make them into one. We need to also develop the skills to attract the best set of people into our civil service. This is what some of the best countries in the world are doing. If you go to Singapore, if you go to Malaysia, they are attracting the best people from their schools into the civil service. The civil service of Nigeria should be able to give 20 scholarships out every year and say, oh, look, I want the best students from Ahmadu Bello, the best students from UNN, the best student from Ife, the best student from Ibadan. I want the best student from UNILAG. All of them, I want them to join us in this Nigerian civil service. We will give them a career path, and in 20 years, we want those people to be the people leading our civil service. This is how you build things up. Yeah? So we need to be able to do things like that, attract the right skills from our young people, build them up, nurture them to become the best in our country, and then allow them to run this country with fresh ideas. Finally, in civil service, we also need to cut wastage by taking tough decisions. There's no way Nigeria can justify the amount of money we spend in NDDC. My understanding is that NDDC has received more than 4 trillion in the last 10 years. 1 year under President Goodluck, we were spending over 1 trillion on oil subsidy. How can we justify that money? How can we justify spending 1 trillion? 1 trillion under President Goodluck, when it was 150 to a dollar, is hundreds of billions. It's not small money. We cannot justify spending that kind of money on oil subsidy. So Nigeria needs to be able to take tough decisions and change this country. All the places that we go, this Dubai and this Qatar that we go and all these places, and we like it. It's not easy there. People are paying taxes. People are paying taxes. You cannot go there and just throw dustbin on the road. You'll be arrested. Those countries are taking tough decisions. Or you go and face one-way traffic. Tough decisions need to be taken in Nigeria. So lesson number 15, Nigeria needs to take tough decisions. We need to attract the best people to our civil service. We need to merge and optimize our civil service, and we need to stop frivolous spending. Frivolous spending, we need to cut it. Lesson number 16, sports arena. We need to reform our sports. Sport used to be what united Nigeria before. In Nigeria before, we don't care whether you are from the north, east, or west, whether you are Christian, Muslim, or pagan, when we won football. When Stephen Keshi and the people led us in Tunisia 94, we were hugging ourselves in the street. We didn't care who was from the north or from the south. So Nigeria needs to invest in sport. A national sports festival has not been done for years since ExxonMobil stopped sponsoring it. Why can't we get a local company? If an Oyibo company says, I will not sponsor your event because he's not seeing the value for him, he's within his right not to do that. But there must be a local company that should be able to step up and fill that gap. We have all these big banks who are making trillions every year. What does it stop a GTB or a Zenith with all the money they make to help us with this sport reform, to sponsor the National Sports Festival? What does it cost them? You know? So, and if they're not going to sponsor it, fine. Then government needs to look for an alternative fund source. And one good source that we know is lottery money. Everywhere you go in Nigeria now, there's bet Nigeria, bet this one, bet that one, bet this one. Okay, fine. If you go to the UK, the lotto money is done by the UK government themselves, and they use that money, part of that money, to fund their sports, to fund their museums, to fund to fund things that are social services. We can do the same. Also, in a sport association, there's too much acrimony. What is happening in Nigerian Basketball Association is a disgrace. Okay, so now what we need to learn is, going forward, we should limit every association chairman to one tenure, one term. That's it. We should limit them to one term. Let them go and do what they have said they will do for us in one term. And after one term, they should allow somebody else to come in so that we can continue to have fresh ideas. Okay, so that's lesson number 16. Sport reform. Funding our sports should come from alternative source. We should limit the tenure of association chairmen. Lesson number 17. We need to bridge the trust gap between the people and the government. Nigerians don't trust our government. Let's be honest. I keep saying to people, Nigerians didn't like Shagari. They did not like Babangida. They didn't like Abacha. We didn't like Shoneka. We didn't like Yaradua. We did not like Jonathan. Now we don't like Buhari. We've not liked anybody for a long time. So I keep saying to us, all of us, this is not a precedent. This is not a personal issue. We have a problem with the system. For us to recover that, we need to come back and build trust between the leadership and the followership. And the way to do that is that our leaders need to be honorable. People need to see them trying to sacrifice for this country. This is not the time for presidents and senators to be having 16 cars. That time is gone. Nigeria cannot afford it, for sure. Now, as the people begin to see that people in leadership are making sacrifice, they will also need to learn to forgive the leaders, to respect the leaders, to support the leaders. We have a responsibility to support our leaders. We have a responsibility to respect our leaders. We have a responsibility to forgive our leaders if they have done wrong and they show sincerity to asking us to forgive them. This is how you build trust. This is how we build trust in our homes. This is how we build trust in our own organizations. So as a corporate entity in Nigeria, we also need to be able to do that. Our leaders need to learn sacrifice. And the people like us who follow must learn to support them and learn to respect them. Bridging the trust gap between Nigerian leaders and the people is lesson number 17. Lesson number 18. We need to reduce the cost of governance. Cost of governance in Nigeria is too expensive. If you look at our budget, they are saying that our recurrent expenditure is about 85%. Nobody will make progress if 85% of your money, of your budget is recurrent expenditure. If you make 100 naira or 1,000 naira every month and you take 850 to enter taxi and to eat, then there's no way you can make progress. It's not possible. It's not possible. So it's too expensive the way we run. And the way to cut some of these things is that we need to try and see now our legislature should be part-time. There's no reason for us to be having legislature which is full-time. I see all the houses they are building for the president or senate here. How many times have we built legislative quarters in Abuja? At least 3 times. We built one in 1988 for the Constituent Assembly in Area 10. Then we built another one when Obasanjo came. After Obasanjo was going, they sold all of that to all these people because monetization policy. Now we are building another set. It's a waste of money. So we need to cut down the governance, the cost of governance. We need to change away from this expensive presidential system of government. Like I mentioned before, $650,000 to $650 million to do the last election is too expensive. In the US, which we copied this presidential system from, even the presidential election is too expensive for the US. How much more poor people like us? We should go to a parliamentary system so that elections can be done at a local level, and then the party within themselves will select somebody to go and represent them at the center. I've also mentioned that we need to explore the concept of having an honorary president. That's what we had in the First Republic anyway. We had a constitutional president. We didn't have a president, an executive president who had all the powers that the current presidents have. We had a constitutional president, an honorary president, and many countries in the world have this. Canada has that. Israel has it. Many countries have honorary presidents. It will save us a lot of cost because the cost of governance in Nigeria is too expensive. Lesson number 19. health sector reform. Our health sector has collapsed, more or less. I was in UCH Ibadan, which was one of the best hospitals in Nigeria for a long time, in the Commonwealth, not in Nigeria, in the Commonwealth, one of the best hospitals. It's a mess. I keep telling people, since 1990, I don't know 1 year that Nigeria Medical Association or resident doctors in Nigeria have not been on strike. Every year, these people are on strike. Every year. Every year. There's something not right there. There's something which is not right there. We need to consider public-private partnerships wherever it's possible in our healthcare delivery. Something needs to be done. Then there's too much unionism in our health sector. Today it will be JOSU, JUSU, yes, Joint Healthcare Student Sector Union. There are too many unions and all the unions fighting every day, everybody going on strike. Nigeria needs to write some laws, rewrite some laws. I mean, laws that if you're a federal government worker, you cannot go on strike. You cannot, policeman, you cannot be on strike. You cannot be working as a medical doctor or a pharmacist or a nurse in our federal medical centers. There are federal medical centers, the emergency services, and you will be on strike. What does that mean? So we need to understand this. We also need to build capacity. This COVID has exposed how poor our health services are. One of the arguments why they said we could not get the Pfizer vaccine for COVID is because Nigeria does not have any facility where you can store under minus 80 degrees, which is what you needed to store. It's not that we are producing, it's just to store, but we don't have any storage that can store that kind of vaccine. And this was a country that used to have capability to do their own vaccines in the 80s. So somebody needs to look at our healthcare. And to look at our healthcare, the first recommendation is that we have had enough of healthcare people being the managers of healthcare. We should get administrators to run it now. Enough of doctors running hospitals. And then every day they will be fighting with pharmacists and Joisu and all these people. It's enough. We should get professionals, people with MBAs. People with MBAs, it's a business. Run it as a business. Let people who are capable go and run these things. The fact that you know the YDX or the feasibility of body does not mean that you know the finances of an hospital, how to run the finances of an hospital. So we need to understand this, that we need full health sector reform and we need to get these things done properly. Lesson number 20, decentralize. Reduce costs, communicate. We need to move the decisions that we're taking in Nigeria closer to the people. Like I mentioned before, decisions should be taken at the local level. We need to reduce the cost of governance. Everything that is done needs to be communicated. The only way you get buy-in from people is to communicate to the people. I'm shocked that with all the problems we have, we don't have a federal information minister sitting in NTA every day or at least once a week telling them what Nigeria is doing. And to be honest, the government is doing a lot. It's just that we don't know. How many people knew that they were building a rail line to Warri? Majakuta? Nobody knew. We didn't know that they were doing all of this work with Lagos Ibadan Rail, with Ibadan Kano. Who knew they were building a road in Makurdi? We are only depending on what we see on the internet to see what they're doing with the second Niger bridge. There should be somebody actively communicating these things to people. What you are doing in the Mambila Power Project, what Nigerian government is doing with the Siemens power issue, they should be communicating this and they should be communicating it every week. Okay, how many bandits did we capture? How are we supporting our soldiers who are dying in fighting Boko Haram? How are we supporting their families? Somebody needs to be communicating this to us. And finally, we should be taking tougher actions on corruption, bandits, and kidnappers. A lot of impunity is happening in this country. And people think that they can continue to get away with it because we're not making an example. All the crises that happened in Jos 15, 20 years ago, we don't know anything that happened to any of the people that perpetrated all the murder in Jos. Nothing. We've not heard anything about it till today. All these bandits, all these Boko Haram people in Borno and bandits who have been running rampage in Zamfara and Niger State, we don't know what is happening to them. We don't know if they've caught any of them. We don't know what was done to the ones that they caught. We don't know what was done for the victims. There needs to be communication. Government certainly needs to communicate better. And as we do all of this, we can make this country better. I want to thank you for being with us on these 20 weeks. It's been a huge challenge sitting down and talking to people and getting this information together. God willing, we are taking this program now to radio. I'm hoping that as many people as possible can listen to this and we can share this information. Nigeria is the only place we have, is our home. We can make it better. It can be better. Don't let anybody tell you that Nigeria cannot be better. Nigeria can be better if Nigerians are willing to change it. God bless you and God bless Nigeria. Thank you.